Thank you, Dr. Bob. And that was
quite a message to think about Jesus dying on the cross for us. He left his throne just for us. It's just, that really strikes me. But the Jewish people would travel to Jerusalem to offer their best lamb as a sacrifice to God. They would do this at least once a year at Passover. It's the only way God would forgive their sins. One day, a man named Simon of Cyrene and his 2 little boys traveled with their lamb to Jerusalem. They were going to offer their sacrifice for the Passover. What they saw changed the world forever. They saw the spotless Lamb of God die to pay the penalty for all my sins and for all of yours. Walking on the road to Jerusalem that day, the time had come to sacrifice again. My 2 small sons, they walked beside me on the road. The reason that they came was to watch the Lamb. Daddy, Daddy, what will we see there? There's so much that we don't understand. So I told them of Moses and Father Abraham. And then I said, dear children, watch the Lamb. For there will be so many in Jerusalem today, and we must be sure the Lamb doesn't run away. And I told them of Moses and Father Abraham, and then I said, dear children, watch the Lamb. And when we reached the city, I knew something must be wrong. There were no joyful worshipers, no joyful worship songs. I stood there with my children in the midst of angry men. And then I heard the crowd cry out, crucify him! Now we tried to leave the city, but we could not get away. Forced to play in a drama, a part that I did not wish to play. Why upon this day were men condemned to die? Why were we standing here where they would soon pass by? I looked and said, even now they come. The first one cried for mercy, and the people gave him none. And the second one, oh, that second one was violent. He was arrogant and loud. You know, I can still hear his angry voice screaming at the crowd. And someone said, there's Jesus. And I scarce believed my eyes. A man so badly beaten, he barely looked alive. Blood poured from his body, from the thorns upon his brow, running down the cross and falling to the ground. I watched him as he struggled I watched him as he fell. The cross came down upon his back. The crowd began to yell. And in that moment, I felt such agony. In that moment, I felt such love. Till a Roman soldier grabbed my arm and screamed, "You! Carry the cross!" At first, I tried to resist him, and then his hand reached for his sword. So I knelt and took the cross from the Lord. I placed it on my shoulder and started down the street. The blood that he'd been shedding was running down my cheek. They led us to Golgotha. They drove nails deep in his feet and hands. And yet upon the cross I heard him pray, "Father, forgive them." Oh, never, never have I seen such love in any other eyes. And he said, "Into thy hands I commit my spirit." He prayed and he died. I stood for what seemed like years. I lost all sense of time until I felt two tiny hands holding tight to mine. My children stood there weeping. I heard the oldest one say, "Father, please forgive us." The man ran away. Daddy, Daddy, what have we seen here? There's so much that we don't understand. So I took them in my arms, and we turned and faced the cross. And then I said, "Dear children, watch the